It's time for another edition of Dome and Domer.
Hey, Irish fans, welcome back to Dome and Domer, the oldest Notre Dame sports podcast on the planet. I'm your host, Mike Sullivan from the class of 90, joining me today to discuss the, predictable but incredibly disappointing results of the CFP bracket. Mike Brammer from the class of 90 and Ed Jordanic from the class of 89. December 7th, 2025, a date that will never be explainable to me. Like, I just don't get how Alabama is in. Obviously, we've got a lot to talk about. Here's what we saw on Saturday with the conference championships. Two of the three losers of the Power Four conferences, two of the three losers dropped. Ohio State drops. The talking heads, yeah, of course, I think that's fair. BYU drops. Alabama gets the doors blown off of them and nothing. It's unbelievable. Let's start there. I'm not sure what else to say, but Eddie, I'm going to give you first crack at it. Fire away.
You know, anytime you leave things up to a committee, this is what happens, right? You know, they can barely explain their process. They don't do this for a living. They show up every week with a different mindset. Sometimes it's, the games that they just watched. They don't watch all the games. The computers watch all the games. Vegas watches all the games. I mean, this is what happens when you have a committee and a system put together by, money people. And so it's just think about it on its face, right? So Tulane and James Madison are ranked in the 20s. And so they get to go out and be sacrificial lambs and make a few bucks. Forget about just Notre Dame fans. The country is denied a true playoff to see who the best team in the country is. Because basically three teams for sure are excluded that are definitely among the top 12 in the country.
Okay, Eddie, if I could pause you there for a minute. I mean, there's an argument to be made about the system is a stupid system, and there's an argument that we should have about the selection within that system. Okay, so in terms of the system, I'm going to paraphrase Winston Churchill. It's the worst system except for all the others we've tried.
No,
right?
It's not. No,
yes,
it is.
We
have better systems.
Oh, come on.
The BCS system was better. Listen.
No. 4 teams?
Yes,
no.
Absolutely. No, I'm not talking about 4 teams. I'm talking about computers.
Oh, okay. So computers selecting 12. Okay.
Right.
But the system we had going into this season and this weekend was what it was. Like, that wasn't going to change. That's a conversation like, what are we going to do about this next year? I'm with you on that. And it should, I think it's 16 teams fixes it, right?
Not if you leave the committee in there.
I don't think anything ever fixes it as long as you have human beings meeting in a room making these decisions.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's the committee. It's the committee that just lacks credibility right now. Seriously, any normal football fan looks at this and scratches their head and says, wait a minute, you put Alabama ahead of Notre Dame because of a win at under 500 Auburn that took you to go for it on 4th and 2 with 3 minutes to go in the football game to win it. And you're going to jump them. And then they're going to go out and get beat by 21 points and put up -3 yards rushing. And you're now going to leave them where they're at. Who's in that committee room? That doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, this is not about Miami for me. This is about the comparison with Alabama, right?
Yeah, it's Alabama.
I can live with Miami.
The elephant in the room is Alabama.
For sure. So, and what is worse
and that's why I'm saying it comes back to money, and it comes back to these conferences, and it comes back to who the heavy hitters are and the Saban legacy, and it comes back to all of that because either consciously or subconsciously, that stuff affects these committee members because they're humans. That stuff does not affect computers. It does not affect Vegas.
I'm not going to argue that point with you, Ed. It's not the system we had. And for the future, fine. A computer selects a 16-team field. I'm okay with that. Another alternative that I think inevitably we get to is there's some kind of Super League, NFL style, 36 teams, 32 teams, and you just play it out on the field and nobody has to vote it in, a computer or a person. That seems like that's in our future I don't know how far out in the future, but it seems like we're moving in that direction.
What are we going to do? Play college football until March 3rd?
No, that's the point. You'd have to have an NFL-sized league, a super league, and people are talking about that very scenario.
Yeah, this is the problem. We're heading into the doomsday of college football. It's going to get ruined. It's unfortunately going to get ruined, and this is the beginning of it.
And it's better than it's ever been.
It is at the moment, but they're going to screw it up. They're just going to
have leveled the playing field. The Indiana story is great, right? And Notre Dame is navigating that new terrain very, very well.
Yes.
So that's what makes this so upsetting.
Yes.
Is because this quote unquote new age of college football deserves better than what happened today.
Agreed. I don't think that we're it's going to get ruined and this is the end. I don't share that view. I think a super league of 32, 36, that's fine. A computer picked 16-team field, that'd be great. All that's fine. What happened today is about Alabama, and this is one of the things that really bugs me, is the nonsensical analysis by the talking heads. There's just no consistency or integrity to it whatsoever. They'll say, hey, the games on the field matter. Yeah, right. Okay, fine. Florida State versus Alabama matters, and Georgia's beatdown of Alabama matters, and Alabama's anemic offense over 12, 13 games matters. Those games on the field matter. Alabama's not that good, and I don't think Oklahoma is either, but we're going to get a first-round matchup of that snooze fest.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just goes to show that it's the inconsistency of the committee that just there's no logic or reason behind it. And that's the thing that's just so frustrating is what were you guys doing? Like I wish that can't even think of his name, that just asked the head of the committee a question. I think the best question he could have asked him, because he did try and bait him a little bit, but I think the best question he could have asked him is, in your honest opinion, if Notre Dame played Alabama right now today, who wins that football game? Out of curiosity, just make him answer that question, because he would have to just sit there and swallow and not want to answer the question.
Of course he wouldn't answer that, right? So he would not answer that. But Vegas has answered it, right? They think. And
there's no doubt in my mind that the SEC basically had a 4-team minimum going into this thing, right? I mean, they push people around and they're like, we get 4. We're the best conference. Now we have 18 teams or however many there are on the SEC. We get 4 minimum. And so they had to, that also figured into Alabama staying put.
Well, so back in after we started 0-2, this is the conversation we were all having. The Big Ten and the SEC were going to combine for 8. We needed the Big 12 and the ACC to each get 1. All that happened. Here's what I never counted on was 2 group of 5 schools getting in because the ACC crapped the bed so badly as a conference. Now, okay, here's one of the things I heard them say, again, talking about the conference championships and the tiebreakers, which you guys had brought up, like, how insane were these tiebreakers that gave us a UVA Duke matchup. But as they talked about, well, what if Miami and UVA would have played? Then the winner would have been in, and then the loser would have been out, is what they were saying in the spin today. So in other words, the loser of a conference champion is out if you're BYU, is out if you were the loser of the hypothetical Virginia Miami, right, but is not out if you're a 3-loss Alabama team who got blown out. Like they were anemic. They're not out.
Yeah,
but again, the inconsistency is maddening.
Yeah, but Alabama has a different pedigree in the last 10 years. And, they have the iron fist when it comes to college football, and they have the most experienced, crafty commissioner, and so it's just, these guys, this guy that sits up there and says, what did he say about that had absolutely no impact? What was the first question that Reese Davis asked him about
the conference? He said about the conference not having an impact, getting the ACC in to get one representative.
Right.
That's bullshit. It had all of it. Yeah, it was a total lie. I mean, come on, man. Seriously?
Hey, this is it played out exactly as we said. Like, if Duke wins, we're in trouble because they're going to take Miami in that situation because the ACC had to have a team in it.
Right.
That's exactly what happened.
Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, so again, you
frustrating.
You look at the key stats that all national championship caliber teams have per Eric Hansen, right? He's the best. Rushing defense, Alabama's last between Miami 7, Notre Dame's 11, Bama's 36. That's not championship caliber rush defense. Rushing offense, Alabama's 116th, Miami's 77th. Not championship caliber in that key stat. We're 17th. We are. Scoring defense, we're 5, Miami's 20, fine. Bama's 41st in scoring offense. Scoring defense, they check the box. I'll give them that one. Team passing efficiency, Notre Dame 5, Miami 9, Bama 27. Not championship caliber. So Bama's the team that should get left out. I got no problem with Miami, and they beat us, right? They beat us, fair and square. But if week 1 counts, it counts for Alabama, and that's a horrible loss.
They went and watched, supposedly you said they went and watched the Miami-Notre Dame game. They watched it all over again. Well, did you watch the Florida State-Alabama game? Does that not matter? The first game of the season?
Or how about this? Watch that Georgia game again because Alabama got their ass kicked.
Yeah, I mean, that's fresh in their minds. I mean, how could you not? That's what I'm saying is, how did that conversation even go? I mean, I would, it would be worth pay-per-view money is let's hear the committee arguing about who's who.
Because somebody in that room had our mindset and we're arguing for Notre Dame, and you just wonder sort of how that all played out, right? Or maybe a couple committee members, right? I'm sure there were divisions and splits on this, and the other thing is that there is people get these narratives in their head. What are the two narratives that have just driven me crazy? This narrative about Notre Dame's schedule. Okay. So first of all, there's this long history of Notre Dame doesn't play anybody. We know that that's BS, but that's gone on for years and years and years, only in the years that Notre Dame plays well and is a contender. Right. So we know we've dealt with that in the past, but the fact of the matter is that the metrics, the computers don't judge our schedule that harshly. It's not terrible. It's not in the 60s or the 70s, or anything like that, like some of these schools. And secondly, look at, okay, so USC, Texas A&M, Miami of Florida, Boise ends up winning their conference, a traditional group of 5 power, Navy, always tough. I guarantee you, nobody ever wants to play them. And then you've got, this Arkansas team that basically lost by 1 to Tulane, who's in the tournament, right? Lost by 1 to like 3 different SEC teams, the best conference ever, and we beat them by 43 at their place. Okay. So, you gotta get this schedule stuff in context. And I'm sure, suffered from this idea that we had a terrible schedule.
Yeah, Eddie, let me comment on that a little bit. Ole Miss beats Arkansas 41-35. Arkansas fumbled late in the game to lose it.
Right.
The next week, Memphis beats them by 1. Arkansas fumbled late in the game to lose it. They lose to Tennessee by 3. They lose to A&M by 3. And those are 4 wins. And right in the middle of that 5-game stretch is a 56-13 beatdown at home to Notre Dame.
Right.
Those 5 games in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
So we caught them. We actually played them in the middle of the best stretch of football they played the entire year, right? And they lost to LSU by 1. Right? I mean, it's nonsense. So again, look at our schedule for a minute. We played 10 Power 4 schools. Nobody else played 10 Power 4 schools, and the 2 non-Power 4 was a playoff qualifier last year who won their conference in Boise State.
Yep.
and a Navy team that beat Oklahoma in a bowl game last year. Those are the two non-power four, right? So, yeah, but let's put the schedule in context. Yeah, okay, Purdue was terrible. Arkansas ended up being terrible. I get it, but I don't want to hear arguments about the schedule when we play 10 power four schools and they don't. So, like, oh, well, you don't play a conference schedule. Who do you think those 10 teams are? They're from your conferences.
Right.
Yeah, this is just
Right.
It's
again, I think
nonsensical.
it's frustrating as hell just because of the idea that Alabama is sitting there at not moving at all after
Right.
getting pounded. That makes absolutely no sense. Who in that committee room said, "Yeah, I think it's a good idea to leave them where they're at"? How did they get agreement on that? I don't get that.
Yeah,
To
Bram,
me, it's
let's play that out for a minute, right? So Ohio State drops they miss a chippy field goal. Who knows? They could have won a tight, close game to a great team. And you drop them and you disregard the great win they had earlier against Texas. You disregard that, right?
Right.
Alabama gets destroyed, really beaten badly for the second time this year of their 3 losses. No, we don't move them at all. BYU, we drop. And again, are you telling me if the loser of a hypothetical UVA Miami championship game, loser wouldn't have been out? Well, of course they would have been. The rules are the rules, except for Alabama.
Yeah, that's what we're dealing with, and that's where the focus of the conversation should have been. It shouldn't have been us in Miami. It was Alabama.
It's totally Miami deserves to be in. I got no problem with that.
Yep.
Yeah, this is just unbelievable, and I just think it's horrible from that sense. I did not see this coming. I literally thought after yesterday's results,
I tried to tell you.
The committee would not whiff on this, and they would have to drop Bama. But the idea that you moved Bama up after the Auburn win and then leave them there is just unbelievable after the last 2 games. Or why didn't the committee go look at the last 4 games Bama's played? How about watching that film?
Right,
you go watch Miami. You spend your time on Miami at the first game of the season. A guy who would never taken a snap in college football, who walked into the Notre Dame starting position, and you're not going to take that into account? I mean, that just doesn't even make any sense.
No, of course not. But you take into account that, it was week 1, Florida State. I know, but we thought they were good in week 1. And, you could they rationalize it every way they want. But it doesn't make any sense. I thought that Alabama got moved up last week for one of 2 reasons. One, so they can drop them back and keep them in. That was the most optimistic view. Or 2, so that we would be right next to Miami and they could switch us. Well, son of a gun, it was that one, of course, because you got to protect Alabama.
Yeah, and as Ed says, follow the money. That's
well, when you've got a drumbeat, all season long, like who are the quote unquote influencers, right? They're the Feinbaums of the world. They're the Booger McFarland. It's an SEC sport. I mean, it's a Southern sport. It just is in terms of the influencers in the media. And I'm not saying that these are dishonest people or that they're trying, but that's the world that they're familiar with. And Alabama has this, this overhang that they're still living on from the Saban years. And their former coach is on the most watched program in the country about college football and on ESPN doing spots every single day throughout the football season. And in the same way that, Herbstreit holds a special place in his heart for the Buckeyes, which we've seen over and over again, Saban is going to advocate for his conference and his team, until the end of the days. And he should, and they should.
Right.
But what I'm saying is,
as Holtz did for us, right? As Lou did for us.
Yeah. Absolutely. Lou did the same thing when he is on ESPN. I have no problem with that. But this is another reason why, you've got these people on this committee who have full-time jobs, busy jobs.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of responsibilities. And, they don't watch enough football to make these decisions. I'm sorry. They just don't.
Again, when Walter Cronkite declared that Vietnam was not winnable, it was over. When Saban said earlier this week, yeah, I didn't think it's Miami, it was over, right? Because the king had spoken. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so tough to take. It really is.
Yeah. I think the frustrating thing, obviously.
Stepping back here for a second, we'll talk about this a lot, whatever. But I mean, I really, this is, Marcus Freeman has brought us very likable football teams, not just really good football teams, but players who we're really proud of in the way that they conduct themselves. I am so bummed that I'm not going to see Jeremiah Love in a gold helmet again. I am so bummed that, he's not going to play in a bowl game. There's no way he shouldn't.
You're probably right. I'm speculating in the world of NIL and revenue share. Are there like certain conditions around postseason games when it comes to those things? I don't know. I'm asking the question. I would love to know. It feels like there should be.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but it might be. They might give him an out if they're not playing in the playoffs.
But if he comes back and he's going to be a top 10 pick and he goes into Freeman's office, Marcus Freeman's going to tell him not to play.
I would have no problem with that rib injury getting worse. I would have no problem if that was the choice they made for the kid. I'm just asking the bigger question about.
By the way, he'll be on the sidelines to see Aeneas Williams run for 146 and 3 touchdowns. So it's like, if we'll prepare and we'll play some team and we'll beat the shit out of them. And,
it's going to be BYU, I think, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yep. So if I was Freeman, he's a master of public relations. I want to hear something like this. We've proven we're one of the best 10 teams in the country. That's obvious. We're very disappointed. But we have another opportunity to reach our full potential and show the country how good we are, and we're looking forward to it. Blah, 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 whatever. Yeah. I want to hear a message like that. Sure. I expect to hear a message like that, and then let's go beat the crap out of BYU. That's what I want.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, that, and also take this into next year. I think Freeman's that kind of guy. He'll use this as motivation for the team next year. He'll pound them every single week.
That's what I think too.
You are not respected at all. You have got to earn this and dangle that as long as you can dangle it the entire season, because them getting left out is just absolute horseshit.
Well, but I think there's another side to that, which I would think they would use, which is this is nobody's fault but our own, and we didn't take care of our business in week 1 and week 2 in the way, and I'm quoting what he said at the time, what we tolerate in our walkthroughs, in our team meetings, in our drills, every moment, every interval is an opportunity to reach your full potential. And that, to me, better be what we do instead of, hey, everybody hates you. It's a blend of both, right?
Yeah,
I think it's a blend of both.
He'll use both, I think. But I would agree.
The more I listen to you guys talk, the more I get really, really, really angry about
everybody has that reaction when I talk. Yeah, don't feel
no, about one specific thing, and this committee chairman getting on there and saying that this committee rewatched the Notre Dame Miami game.
Yeah, he should have never said that. Yeah.
Think about how slanted that is. Okay,
it is.
Why didn't you turn on the next week and watch Donovan Heinisch get tackled on his way to end the Texas A&M game, so that we're 11-1 and in easily. Why don't you watch that?
Right.
You could pick 17 games during the college football season to watch again. That would have influenced this outcome for a bunch of different teams.
Yep.
So I just think that is really hits me the wrong way.
Yep, because they went out looking for what they wanted to find, so they could justify it. It's nonsense. And how about this? I heard somebody say this during the course of the week. Okay, let's just say that Notre Dame went out and scheduled a week 1 group of 5 team or something, a MAC school. We'd be 11-1 with a 1-point loss on a botched extra point, and we'd be in, right?
Yeah.
So you're punished now for playing a tough schedule, unless you're Alabama, because you're not punished for playing a tough schedule there. But had we gone out and scheduled like everybody else, we're sitting here at 11-1. So what's the incentive? Again, people talk about the precedents that are set in this whole thing. Well, there's one. Why go out and schedule that game? Here's another one. We touched upon this earlier. The conference championship games, obviously, there's something's got to happen with those. Do you guys think there's a future on the conference championship games, or are they dead? Ram, what do you think about that?
I definitely think they're dead. I just don't. It makes no sense anymore. First off, they can't even get it right. Their own conferences can't even get it right. The idea that Duke, has a 5-loss team, wins their conference championship and Miami gets to stay at home and then sneak into the playoffs. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So Miami is such a good football team, but yet they can't win the worst conference in college football. That's how good they are. So
they can't even qualify for the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable that we're sitting here in light of what the committee just did. And I mean, I'll go to bed tonight gritting my teeth about Bama getting in. It's just unbelievable that we're in this situation.
Again, two things: like Bama is the first 3-loss team to make it, and Miami is the first team to make it with 2 losses to unranked teams. Both of those things happen for the first time to keep Notre Dame out.
Right.
I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, this is the committee. You just got to scratch your head who's in that room. That's what I'm saying. It would be fascinating to hear the ridiculous conversations that went on and how there's nobody in that room, including those coaches who said, "Oh, wait a minute, fellas. We are trying to put the best teams in right now. We're not saying that September 1 decided who's the best football team to make the playoffs. We're choosing the best 12 teams right now. Let's keep that in mind. And if you stick to your guns, which is what the committee supposedly did the last 6 weeks, then Notre Dame's in because you move them up. You move them up to 9th and Bama's 10th. And then the argument is Bama and Miami.
That's how it should have been.
And then Miami
the answer is Miami.
Bama. That's what it should have been. And it's just, and here we are. It's unbelievable.
Well, it's hysterical when you put those side-by-side rankings and you see Notre Dame starting at 9 or 10 in the first, whatever it was, the first CFP, ranking, and Miami's 18, right?
Right.
And then you see them, week by week by week. Notre Dame stays exactly where it is. Miami moves up, and then overtakes them. And there's absolutely no difference in the results from week to week in terms of
zero. Notre Dame drops back one, and then the final poll drops back again.
Yeah.
It's just like, what is going on in that room? Like, literally, what are you guys talking about? And you got a Heisman Trophy candidate in
Louisville and SMU is, fatal. But in early December, not so much.
Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable.
Right.
Just
and again, it's not as if they really played great football down the stretch. They were impressive against Pitt. Pitt self-destructed, and Miami scores in junk time 2 weeks in a row to get the final margin versus our opponents who score in junk time against us. But again, I really don't have a problem with Miami being in there. It's Alabama. It's Alabama.
Yeah,
it's Alabama.
The elephant in the room is Alabama, and that's just what it is.
Okay. I'm exhausted. Is there anything left to say that's going to change anything? No.
No.
All right.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. I'm sure we'll be back this week with
which bowl would we be going to?
I think it's I don't know if this has been announced because we got right on to do this. I read that it was going to be Pop-Tarts versus BYU in Orlando. So like the equivalent of the Champs Sports Bowl or the we played in this bowl game by other names many times.
Is that a January 1 game?
I'm not sure. I think it's December 30th maybe, or 29th.
It's usually right at the end there, yeah.
Okay, let's see here if this has been announced yet. It's not. The matchups went. It says Friday the 27th.
It could be if that's the weekend.
It's the 27th is the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and we've been rumored to play in this bowl game against BYU. It's typically an ACC versus. Remember, we played Iowa State in this a few years ago, right?
Right.
Okay, so.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll come back and talk more about this, I'm sure, in the days and weeks ahead. For Ed Jordanik and Mike Brammer, I'm Mike Sullivan. We'll see you next time on Dome and Domer.